Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this edition of Leak Project. I am your host, Rex Bear, and we are going to discuss the latest sightings and photographs that we have been able to obtain from around the world of Planet X, Nibiru, the Winged Destroyer, as well as all of these what looks like moons or planetary bodies that are coming with it. So could we be entering a binary star system? Could this all be just highly concentrated swamp gas? I don't know, but these are some pretty cool pictures. And we've got Bob with us again. Bob's been doing research on Nibiru now for almost a decade, and he basically has a doctorate in Planet X. So, Bob, thanks a lot for joining us here at the Leak Project. How the heck are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Rex.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, with all the stuff that you've been through recently, Bob, I mean, you sure are a trooper. You are an absolute warrior. Folks, just so you guys know, Bob almost died the other day. He tripped on a cat, basically. Was it a black cat, by the way, Bob?
No, my great cat, but yes.
Okay. So he trips, he breaks his laptop, almost breaks his skull, goes to the emergency room. He's in the hospital for several days. They let him out, and what's the first thing he does? He gives us information on Planet X. I mean, talk about dedication. And for anybody out there that spews their ignorance about Bob trying to make money off of this, that is just the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. Bob doesn't make a dime doing this. As a matter of fact, this costs him money and time. So it's just an honor to have you on the show with us, Bob. And I know you've been going through a lot of hardships lately. You said you had a stroke also, didn't you, a few weeks ago?
Yes, I did. April 27th, yes.
Wow, man. You are a warrior. An
I'm
absolute
hanging
warrior.
in there.
So this first picture that we're looking at, Bob, this was sent to you by Sharon?
Yes, she's in Illinois. That is Planet Moon number 7. It has a very distinct stripe going from what would be the North Pole down to almost the South Pole. Now, Sharon did several nice images of this with different filters to show it is real. That's not a phony thing. So this is what's being seen in the skies over the United States back in Illinois. The Earth is orbiting straight towards the planet Nibiru, and these are its planet moons, and they're growing larger and larger in our skies by the day.
Well, I'd like to say thank you, Sharon, for sending us these images. I have seen a lot of pictures that you have taken of these just incredible anomalies in the sky, and keep up the good work. These are some nice shots. Now, I would like to go to the next image here. This is we're going to start here at the very beginning, and as you can see, this one right here I find to be quite fascinating. It looks like this one was taken at a webcam in Mexico. Tell us about this one, Bob.
Okay, that is the one that really spooks me because it could mean several different things. My friend Whale, W-A-E-L, has been seeing this type of image over Europe for over now. We only have one sun in our solar system, but we also have a brown dwarf star. Now, if Nemesis, that's what we call it, if Nemesis is coming in this close where we're seeing that huge, almost like a sunrise, because that disappears just before sunrise of our normal sun, that could mean several different things, most of which I don't really want to talk about, but if it is the right thing, we are in deep. There's a YouTube video called Nemesis, our sun's evil twin, and the scientist that does the video says that Nemesis comes in very close every 26 million years and causes what he thinks is a mass extinction on the planet Earth. Now, whether this was seen 3,000 years ago or during Noah's flood or the time before, I have no idea because none of the ancient accounts mention this. We are seeing things in our skies that no human has seen for over 3,000 years. And naturally, we are confused by this stuff. We wonder what's happening, what's going to happen. So I have to leave that up as a huge question mark. Sorry, Rex, I wish I had a better answer for you on that one image.
Oh yeah, this reminds me of that one you sent me a while ago where you could see the sun coming up, and then behind the sun it was this very similar color, and it looked like something that was 100 times the size of the sun in front of it. Now, whether that's just an optical illusion or because the way that the atmospheric conditions were in reflection with the light, I don't know, but it kind of reminds me of this picture right here. So,
and this picture has been, I've shown you this several times, and each time the picture keeps coming back, different times, different cameras. Like I said, we've been seeing images like this since early 2015. So this is not new. And each time my friends were saying, Bob, this is this. And I couldn't believe that a brown dwarf star would be coming in this close. Because if it does, it would be causing much more damage than even I can think of. But the same type of photograph, the same type of sunrise just before our sun spooks the holy bleep out of me. Sorry.
Let's talk about this next one if we could too, because this is another one that Sharon had sent out, and it looks kind of like that
this
one
is
above.
Moon number 8. I have not seen this one before. This image is completely new. I have images of all 8 of them, and you have seen them over time, Rex. This is completely brand new to me. But again, the Earth orbiting counterclockwise towards them. I do not know where Nibiru is in its orbit on its way out, but we are seeing these planetoids, moons, whatever you want to call them, more and more. This is number 8. And now we know that the observatories, we're seeing 8 objects in our skies. This makes number 8 object we're seeing from the ground. Sharon lives back in Illinois, and she is taking these photographs with her own camera, handheld from the ground. So now we're seeing all 8 objects in our skies.
So you think that there's 8 total planets and moons that are coming with, the nemesis, essentially?
Okay. NASA imaged Nibiru itself back in 2008. I have the leaked photographs, and they have lines going to each one of the planets or moons. They showed 13 in 2008. We are seeing 8 of these things in our skies. Now, Nibiru orbits through our solar system between Jupiter and Mars. So these orbits are all the way from Jupiter, in between Mars and Jupiter, all the way in towards us. Now, I have no idea how large these things are, how strong their gravitational pull is, or what their effects are. But we have all seen one volcano after another, after another, after another, erupting around the planet recently. Within just last week, we had 5 more volcanoes erupt on one day. Okay? So these things are affecting the Earth's crust with their gravitational pull and electromagnetic pull. That's the only thing that's setting off these volcanoes.
And also, we had Alan with us on the show yesterday from Prep Aussie YouTube channel. He's got over 400 videos on Planet X, Nibiru, wormwood, anomalies in the sky, and, you know, clay pigeons. But regardless, I mean, just a great YouTube channel, and all of the stuff that he's got, Bob, is from Australia. So he's taken, yeah. So this isn't just an American phenomenon. And he takes all this stuff and puts it together in really nice presentations and podcasts. We had him on the show yesterday, and he showed us some really good footage of...
Please send me his link.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it to you right after the presentation. I think you'll enjoy the shows that he's put together. But we kind of had this same conversation, too, when we were looking at some of these anomalies in the sky that are so big and just started showing up over the past several months. You know, whether or not this is just a reflection or what, it's some pretty compelling stuff.
Of 2015, when the first one was seen over in the skies over Antarctica. And then April 29th by Sharon in the skies over Illinois. That one there is, those are really interesting. This one here is from Quebec, Canada, showing two things in their skies. You can see two reflections down on the water. People all around the planet are seeing these things now more and more and more. No, we do not have two suns in our skies. One is our sun, the other is one of these planets or moons, which are glowing just like a sun. That's why you're seeing two objects in the sky in this one image.
Do you think that there could be life on these other planets?
To be honest, no, I don't. The planet Nibiru, which has these 13 things orbiting it, probably might have bases on these other moons. I don't know, or planets. All I know is Nibiru itself does have the Anunnaki. When the Anunnaki spoke with Pope Pius XII back in 1955, and when all the stuff was leaked in early 2000 by a high-ranking Jesuit priest, they didn't go into the other bases. They only went into that he had spoken with the Anunnaki. Pope Pius XII described them as a race, and didn't go into much more detail. So I honestly don't know. I'm only going by what my research has found. Being that they are an advanced race, they probably do have bases on some of these planets or around Nibiru itself. I would think that's a good possibility.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of information on Nibiru, the Anunnaki, not just from the translations of the Sumerian tablets by Zecharia Sitchin, but there's many other, you know, treaties and articles and information that does talk about the Anunnaki. It's interesting because you've got two sides of that coin. You've got some people that say it's all fabricated, it's all made up, and they've got the proof. Yet I've never been able to see that proof. They talk a decent game, but they haven't shown me valid points. They haven't given me, in my opinion, the smoking gun to say Nibiru is real or it isn't real. So let's say that Zecharia Sitchin's translations were even halfway correct, and that these Anunnaki, these star people, came down from the heavens and had an influence on humankind. Well, if that is the case, that could explain, in my opinion, a lot of the science that isn't there, pointing to, you know, look at us 300,000 years ago, 400,000 years ago, our ancestors. They weren't designed like we are. I mean, they were humanoids, but they were different. So was there this big jump because of evolution, just because of something in the air, or was there an outside influence that manipulated the people here currently? I don't know. I mean, these are some great questions, and they've been talked about for decades, and only time will tell. But, I mean, it seems like the more I've been doing these shows, Bob, and I've been as skeptical and neutral as I can on the subject, there's just so much out there now that either this is just one incredible psyop, an amazing wag the dog phenomena, or there's definitely something else out there. And we do live in very interesting times right now, and the Earth does prove that. So it's incredible.
Well, there's enough ancient text where anyone who really seriously tries to research this will find all these different things from China to Egypt, and it goes back and back. A lot of this stuff was never really out there until after the exodus of the Hebrews or the Israelis out of Egypt, because the Pharaoh, which was Akhmos, he demanded to know how the god of the slaves was more powerful than all of Egypt's magic. So he had all of the ancient texts be brought forward. And that's how we know about the Sumerians and everything going backwards in time, which were like 4,000 years before the Bible supposedly was even put down in print. So here's the Sumerians and possibly an even earlier race before them, going back 4,005 years, but that was all dug up because of the Exodus. Now, I grew up going through Catholic school, and that's what I learned going to Catholic school. So that's basically the Catholic part. Now, when you start talking about religion, you start walking down a very slippery slope. Now, is there something going on now saying this stuff is BS? Don't listen to it? Some people say that's the Enlilites, because Enlil, the Anunnaki who was in charge of the planet Earth, according to Zacharias Sitchin, did not want the humans to become a more advanced race. Enki, his half-brother, went around and was probably one or more gods that taught humans to do this, do that, do this, do that, which went against his brother's orders. So you've had these two families back and forth, keeping everything upset, not working together ever again, and keeping humanity on a constant slip-sliding slope. I think that's a good possibility, that they're doing it deliberately. Because from what I've seen, there's enough information, and I just took everything off the internet and from books and from leaked information. So if I could find it, and this stuff is out there, from China, from Egypt, it's all out there. And it all says something happened before several different times.
You're a conspiracy theorist, Bob. That's not real.
And,
come on, man. I'm just joking.
I slightly disagree with them. Do their own research, and they're probably a completely different history from what I've had to learn. I've had to really dig into this stuff one way or another. Stuff was passed down to the Hopi people in this country, which backs up almost everything from the ancient Sumerian kings list, that everyone did speak one language at one time. So you have the Hopi talking about the same thing. We have the ancient Western people coming across saying virtually the same thing. You have the Kolbrin Bible, which has a lot of this stuff which has been held in secret until the 1100s, when it was passed down. Oh, they have heresy. Go burn it. Go destroy it. It didn't agree with what's in the Bible. Heresy, heretics. They were to be killed and burned at the stake. They had to hide all this stuff, and thankfully, it survived until World War I, World War II, and then a person saved and took it down to Australia and New Zealand and actually put out in print about 30 years ago the Colburn Bible, which puts all this stuff, ancient tales out there, which backs up too many of the ancient texts I'm finding on the internet. Too many of the ancient scholars said that the sun and the moon changed positions over the years where they rose and set. But today we true, it never happened. But it's exactly what people were said, that the sun and moon used to rise and set in new positions. So too many of this ancient stuff is starting to be backed up. Will it happen again? I don't know. All I know is we're seeing stuff in our skies that no one has seen for over 3,000 years. A brown dwarf star we call Nemesis with 7 planets, 6 planets, 1 dwarf planet they call Sedna, and it orbits around our solar system. NASA doesn't want to talk about this, but it's all been leaked since the 1980s. Pope John Paul II, not me, not Pope John Paul II said, what if it was in writing that the oceans would cover all the continents, killing millions within minutes? Why talk about the third secret of Fatima? Here's John Paul II. Almost everyone says he was one of their favorite popes. And he talked about this back in 1980.
There's been a lot of strange talk about the end of the world with, I guess you could say, global leaders, you know, especially the past couple years.
Well, there has been a lot of prophecies, predictions, all going up to about 2012, 2013, and every one of them has fallen by the wayside. In 2009, NASA leaked a whole bunch of information showing that the planet Nibiru, planet 6 orbiting around would be seen on December 20, 2012, because it would have been 20 astronomical units from the Earth to the Sun away, orbiting through our solar system. So they knew we wouldn't see anything on the time that the Mayan calendar ended. And my astronomer friend who looked at all the information, he said we wouldn't see this thing in our skies until December of 2014. And that's exactly when the second sun, which everyone had debunked as a digital planet BS, because there's no second sun, but people were taking photographs of the second sun in the sky for several years before. But in November, December of 2014, here it is showing its wings for the first time in 3,000 years. And I have the photograph showing it. Then on April 10th of 2015, this object which was being tracked, and I have the photographs going back to 2010 from the Newmeyer Station number 3 down in Antarctica. They were tracking this one object, and the image kept getting clearer and clearer, and it became very clear on April 10th, 2015, of a striped planet or moon in the skies over Antarctica. Then it was seen in the skies over Illinois on April 29th, 2015 by Sharon. And then it was seen all around the planet after. And boom, boom, boom. One after the other, we start seeing one different thing in our skies since then. We've now seen 8 different things in our skies which are not our moon. Because we cannot see planet Mars in our skies from the ground with your eyes. People are taking photographs of these huge things from the ground with their handheld cameras. There's no sign of Photoshop or fakery. Everyone on Facebook is looking at these photographs left and right, inside and outside. And if anyone was seeing any sign of any fakery, they would put it up, Bob, this is a fake. No one has done that yet. These images are very clear. They're real.
Now, what are we looking at right now?
Now, this is something new. This is being seen down, I believe, in Coco Fast 2. That's a TV station. Looking at something very red. That's to the left is the red moon or planet we know as Wormwood, the red Kachina to the Hopi nation, and to the ancient Egyptians they called it the Destroyer. Number A there is pointing to an object in the skies. That thing has been seen in our skies since early 2015, mostly over Europe, but now more and more over Mexico, over South America, and it's growing larger and larger in our skies because the Earth is orbiting counterclockwise right towards it or them. I don't have an honest answer for you. So I use the term it or them. The Northern Observatory saw 8 of these things in our skies. That's an observatory, not just me or someone else with a telescope. An observatory. We are now seeing these same 8 objects from the ground. See, let me go back over this real quickly. Nibiru orbits through our solar system clockwise, from right to left. Every planet in our solar system except the dwarf planet Pluto orbits counterclockwise, so from left to right. Nibiru is somewhere in its orbit past the sun on its way going out. Earth is right towards it or its moons. That's why these objects are growing larger and larger in our skies. My contact said very clearly that by noon, these would be very clear in our skies for all to see. Now, over the weeks, since the different shows I've been on here with you, Rex, these images are growing larger and larger and larger in our skies. The chemtrails with the high-flying military aircraft or aircraft which are white in color are also increasing, and they've been trying to hide this thing in our skies. Some places around the planet, they're putting out black chemtrails at nighttime so these things cannot be seen. But not every nation is allowing these aircraft to be flying over their airspace. So like in this nice photograph here, this was taken, if I remember correctly, this was a storm chaser. He was looking out and he was huge storm clouds, and there was some kind of a cloud. He was seeing this red object, and some of the storm clouds were coming down onto the left-hand side of it. That's why it looks like almost like a V going into it. So our sun is there to the right under B, and this red object, because I've only seen one reddish or orangish object in our sky of all these 8 things. That one thing is from the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible calls it wormwood. The nation of the Hopi people here in the United States, their ancient prophecies say the red kachina would be coming. The ancient Egyptians back during the Exodus, they said this red massive thing was in their skies for almost a month, and they called it the Destroyer. And Ippawur said in his text that I have a copy of that this has been here several times before. Now, whether the ancient Egyptian history is still valid or not, I have no way of knowing, because a lot of this ancient history was put into what Solon said was this big underground thing called the labyrinth in Egypt. 2 floors underground, 1 on the ground floor, with all this ancient knowledge. Now, I've heard recently they think they found it. Now, I have one way of knowing which is true. They get all kinds of stories off the internet. But these are things that almost everyone is starting to see now. And I wish the news media would finally get off their hind ends and would start warning the people. You don't want anyone to panic. I do not want people to panic. I want people to be prepared for this thing because of what it possibly can do. The movie 2012, and possibly the newest movie called San Andreas, has been showing things because Hollywood has been trying to warn the public quietly about this since ID4, Independence Day 4, where the president was outed of the group of the people that knew about the aliens in Area 51. The next film was Deep Impact with the black U.S. president called his name was Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman accidentally outed the deep underground military bases and that they could only hold about 2,000 people, and that every country around the planet has one for their own country, and that everyone else on the planet would be on their own. The next film was The Battle LA, talking about meteorites coming down and aliens coming off the meteorites. Then the movie 2012 did not specifically say pole shift, but when they couldn't land in Hawaii because the island's volcanoes had just put volcanic flows, all destroying basically everything on all the islands, they had to fly towards the China Seas, and they talked about they're getting far closer by about 1,600 miles because of Earth crustal displacement, which is the very proper term for a geological pole shift, not a magnetic pole shift. Magnetic is where the North and South Pole shift positions. Geologic is where the Earth's crust is shifted around the mantle because something is coming nearby and its gravitational electromagnetic pull pulled the Earth's crust as it went past. Now, that's the best thing. Now, why did the Chinese, all these cities down in Africa and up in Mongolia, which are basically abandoned right now? They're fully functional, but no one's living there. Why have we been hiding M1 Abrams battle tanks up in Norway's caves for the last 3 years? One of my recent friends on Facebook sent me a photograph of one row after another, after another, after another of Humvees with a 50 caliber turret up on top, going back as far as the camera could see, all being hidden inside this massive Norway cave. I think that all the governments around the planet know an idea of what's going to happen. And they think that Norway will not be as frozen after something happens. It'll be on the other side of the planet. That's why they first started the Doomsday Seed Vault, which is a place where they have every known seed for every plant and tree. And there's these seed vaults, emergency seed vaults in every country all around the planet. The largest one here in the United States is up in Colorado. The sleeping prophet known as Edgar Cayce, back in 1945, before he died, he was the first person that I've seen to use the term pole shift. And he had a map drawn up showing what the United States and what the rest of the world would look like after a future pole shift. He knew what would happen. The governments of this planet know exactly what's going to possibly happen. What will happen, I don't know. But I'm telling everyone, you better get ready for it. Volcanic activity is increasing around the planet. You see it one time after another. Yellowstone had the Earth recently. A nice video of a river up in Yellowstone boiling and steaming hot. Numerous people on Facebook and who watch the internet have all seen this. The Long Valley caldera down in Southern California has been warming up recently. That's an ancient supervolcano. So Long Valley caldera, the Yellowstone super caldera, which is actually there's three calderas in one huge spot in Yellowstone. So I'm not sure which one of the three is overheating right now. But this is all because of these things that are in our skies. They're affecting the Earth's crust, and things are just starting to get worse. I'm sorry. Anyone who watches the news sees the weather getting worse. We're still seeing the mass animal die-offs, which are being played down by the news media. We're seeing one volcano after another erupting or rumbling. So hopefully we won't get that close to these things, but the Earth is orbiting right towards them, and they're getting larger and larger in our skies. You've seen this, Rex. Now, I know you're very skeptical. I've sent you a copy of almost every one of the ancient texts that talk about this. I'm not sure if you read through them all, but anytime you want to know what this person or this group said, I'll put it out there. This is all stuff I've had to read online or get a book that tells me what these things said happened.
I mean, there's so many different scriptures and writings from all corners of the planet that do talk about these cataclysms that happened many years ago. And some people do speculate that this could be because of this Planet X phenomenon. Now, we're looking at a picture right now. This is from Teresa Caldwell. We're actually going to have her on the show in a few weeks. And she's got all sorts of pictures. This one right here is, in my opinion, one of the best I have seen yet. It almost seems too good to be true because you look at that planet right there, or that just incredible lens flare. I mean, talk about a really cool clay pigeon.
Yeah, Teresa's down in Mesa, Arizona, and she gets these photographs, and she's very careful with her camera to not have any lens flares. That thing to the left, that's our sun. The thing to the right, that's the red planet or moon that's been showing up more and more in our skies now. That's Wormwood, the Regina, or the Destroyer. That's the one that goes back through all of our ancient history. Not any of these other things. That's the only one that goes back through our ancient history. She's been very careful with the photographs, yes. I'm glad she's going to be on your show because, you know, these people are putting these photographs up. I'm sharing them, and some of the times I try to put their names down. I wish they would put their names. Now, that's the same image, but inverted to show that it's not a lens flare. That still shows that big red thing just up to the right of the sun, about 1, 2 o'clock. These people, they do invert the images to show it's not a lens flare.
I mean, unless she put that in there with Photoshop, and I certainly don't think she did, this is a very fascinating picture. I mean, look at that. She's even got different filters on it to show that it... I think actually somebody, an outside source, did this for her to show that it, you know, it isn't just Photoshopped and it isn't just lens flare. Now, I don't know. I'm not a professional. I can't put these different filters on and get to the... You know, I guess you could say I don't know the answers here because I'm not educated as much as somebody out there that might be a professional photographer or somebody within special effects that does this kind of stuff all the time. But, I mean, these are just some amazing shots here. I mean, look at this. You can even see the outline of the planet or the anomaly, I should say. You can see the outline of the anomaly right there.
And she's done a very good job doing these photographs. Because of people on Facebook, they're saying Teresa or Cher, these are all weird, they're not real, blah, blah, blah. And that's why these folks, they're doing this deliberately. This is a real image. I am not a photographic expert, okay? I'm just passing on what everyone else is catching and what they're doing with the images.
Well, Bob, I got to tell you, man, it's always great to have you on the show here with us at the Leak Project. You definitely bring some good information to the table. I can tell you're very well versed in the different scriptures and teachings and stuff that's been written about over the decades. This is great. And I also want to recommend our listeners go to your website, starshipsaroundthesun.com, because you've got some awesome SOHO imagery up there, which looks like these just enormous motherships that kind of fly in and around the sun. And you've got decades of pictures, like over 10 years, I think, of imagery with SOHO on your website, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes. SOHO satellite started to take these images from 1998, showing a huge flying saucer going right towards the cameras. And then these huge ships started showing up about 2000. And at first they were coming from around the sun, going back around the sun. Then for some reason or another in 2011, they showed that they were coming out of warp, subspace, whatever term you want to use, on this side of the sun very clearly. So here they are using faster than light drive. Now that's a really nice picture showing the Zoroastrian wall carving called the Ahura Mazda. Now if you look very clearly on that, you can see what's very clearly landing gear. Two metal rods coming down to round wheels. So yes, you do have what looks like two outstretched birds' wings with a circle in the center. Now there's that thing caught just to the left of our sun in 2005, the extreme ultraviolet camera SOHO EIT 304. And that image was enlarged up, and it almost matches the exact carving. We can put them both together. Now, the filmmaker named John Gress, he tried to put out a movie back in 2006 called The One Anunnaki. And the film was actually pulled by someone or something before it could be put up, and he did a nice image showing this big craft flying over, showing how it would have went right into the that image. And there's the different things. See, everyone's been talking. President Eisenhower met with 3 alien races back in 1954 at the Muroc Airfield, now called Edwards Air Force Base. He personally invited the Bishop of Los Angeles, Francis M. McIntyre, to be his spiritual contact. They were there when he spoke before the Greys, a reptilian-looking race, and an interdimensional race called the Etherians. So that was 1954. Early 1955, he went to Holloman Air Force Base and shut down the base, and he met with what was then called the Nordics, which were tall, humanoid-looking beings. That's the 1998 photograph showing what looks like a giant flying saucer heading straight towards the SOHO satellite. And so he met with the Anunnaki. Pope Pius XII met with the Anunnaki in the Vatican Gardens in 1955. So the Vatican has been in on this since 1954. They've known all about it. Now, let's see. You're there on that second image coming down. If you can go down next level over to the left, Rex, right there. That one's from about 2000, I think 2006. Now the original image is way up there to the right, showing 2006. And that was just a huge ship that came into our solar system on that one day. Looks like Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer. Now, if you can go down to the next image down.
Join the dark side.
Now, that one there. See the SOHO stereo ahead, up behind, and the SETI, which is the UFVs. 2 cameras on stereo ahead, stereo behind, show massive ship all stacked up. And that one's stereo ahead OR2, showing massive amounts of ships in our solar system, just for the cameras to see. Now the next image to the right, that one there's cool. That's also a stereo head COR2, and you can just see one ship after the other, after the other, the other. So, you know, the world got to seeing this. They know this is being seen. And just to the right of that one, right there. These huge ships, since 2000, they've been, they have intervened on ourselves. That massive ship is firing a huge, massive beam of energy. And that massive beam hits something right there. Now, the original photograph is just down to the right. So, if you put that one there is another one. Again, right there, yes. Here it is, it's firing two beams. The one to the left hits something. Now the other beam to the right is still going, so it must have missed it. That's why it has a point on it. So that's 2011. These ships have been clearing the heavens around the Earth for quite some time. Okay? And I've got numerous photographs from the SOHO thing showing these. Okay, this one here, 2011, shows a ship coming out of a huge star, almost like the Enterprise coming out of a warp drive, and it's quickly decelerating right there, slowing down, and the camera, and the original image is just way up in the top left hand, so you see it's not Photoshop. You know, that's a real image that was caught by the SOHO satellite. So they know this has been happening. Now, a friend at NASA, he really wanted to look at these images. Now, this is one image. Okay, hold just to the left of that one image right there. You can see there's a huge T, and you can see something squirting like a big T, like a big square right there, and the ship has just come flying out. It's quickly decelerating. Now, my friend from NASA, which I can't mention his name, he looked at that image, and that image just to the right of that one clearly showed it was not photoshopped, it was not faked. That one you're right there. So you can see that huge thing. Right? If anyone's ever seen the movie, Star Trek movie, where they're fighting the other race that took over part of the Romulans, and when the Enterprise loses its warp drive, there's a huge flash, and the Enterprise slows down because now it's lost its warp drive. It has to go back to normal space, and that's exactly how the movie shows that gigantic flash you see right there, with the Enterprise coming right out of it and quickly decelerating. So that they've right there. So there's that huge flash again, with the ship quickly decelerating. Now NASA has caught those ships many times. Okay, if you can go down to the next level down and over to the far left, right there, up right there. That one image shows two ships entering our system at the same time. Now, if you can put your arrow over there to the left on the main image, right there. Okay, if you can just move it just to the left on that main image, just to the left. When
I move it off the image, the cursor, it automatically shuts. It just goes back to the main. It won't let me see.
Okay, right there. Okay, right there, just below the sun, directly below the sun, you see the image to the right, where you have the massive flare or massive flash, and a ship is quickly decelerating. Now, just to the left of the sun, you see another ship which is just decelerates. Now it's moving almost at normal speed, but you can see all that, what I call warp drive plasma behind it. Now each time the SOHO satellites caught these ships, they always show dry plasma, almost like the exhaust from your car, right behind it. And then they must kick on their cloaking device, because suddenly in the next image you can't see them anymore. So here's the ships as they just came out of warp or doing something, and then you would not see it again. Now here's a nice image here where the ship is fired 3 times. You can see each of the 3 beams, and they were stopped by something. So they must have hit whatever they beamed at, whatever they were firing at. Otherwise you would see a point on the beam where it was still going. You can see in this one image here, the left one, it hit something. The center one, which is still nice and bright, it hit something. The upper beam, which has been almost past shooting, it hit something. So these guys have intervened on our behalf. You see, a lot of the there's another good image right there where you can see the dry plasma behind the ship as it's quickly decelerating. Okay, if these were photo this, photo that, here's a nice image where the ship fired 2 huge beams. Now the bottom left-hand one still has a point on it where it's still going. The upper beam, actually you can see where it stopped, where it hit the whatever, where it was aiming at. You see, a lot of the remote viewers, like Dr. I can't remember his name right now, he's going to kill me for not remembering his
Courtney
name.
Brown?
Courtney Brown. He did a remote viewing study from 2008 to June 1st of 2013. His remote viewing said that massive asteroids hit the Earth's oceans, causing massive damage all around the planet. Now, these guys have been cleaning the skies, the heavens above the Earth, so very few of these things have gotten through to the planet. Only that one thing that exploded over Russia about a year or something ago. That's the only one that has gotten through. They have been clearing the skies. They want us to go to the next level up. Okay? Now, a lot of people are talking about their religious thing where they're stuck on this one level, and yes, they want to go to the next level. Well, the aliens, the ETs, the extraterrestrial brothers, sisters, they want us humans to survive this current pass of Nibiru as an advanced human race. Because every time before now, it was all washed back where we were all starting from kids all over again, from the Stone Age all the way back up. So here, Nibiru is swinging through. These moons or planets are being seen in our skies, and they don't want the advanced humans to be wiped out. They want us to advance.
I certainly appreciate the opportunities with, you coming on the show here for us, Bob. And these are some great shots. I am surprised that more people don't know about your website, starshipsaroundthesun.com, because, I mean, you just got a gourmet buffet of...
Well, okay, let me put it this way. Too many of the big organizations that say they're on the side of the people have said these images are faked. That they're cosmic this, cosmic that, and that all of these images are faked. These images are still being seen to this day. Let me tell you one thing else. I'll be sending you images. SOHO satellite was being repaired from 1998 until 2012, where they were fixing all the glitches in the cameras and in the programming. And it was declared fixed in 2012. An image from SOHO, NASA, from cosmic flare this, cosmic flare that, you could not see the image. Full of white dots all the way around. The image would be so clouded, you'd be saying, why, Bob, are you putting this picture up here? We can't see a fricking thing. Look at that image right there. That image is very, very clear. There's no cosmic radiation in that one image. None. Okay? Every image I have posted there on my webpage has no cosmic flare hitting the cameras. Not one image. They're all clear as a bell. And these organizations, I'm not going to mention names, although I should, these organizations have either been told the wrong information or they're lying through their teeth. These images are very clear, and that's why so many people who have been following this stuff don't want to show the stuff on their own web pages because they're scared of being called this, or that. Well, I'm sorry. My neck is so far out there. I've been showing these images. I've been showing NASA's own information, saying what these images are, what they are not. I've been showing this stuff. I've been putting my neck out there. I've been on radio shows. I've been on TV shows, putting my neck out there because people need to know this. I'm glad, Rex, that you are showing these images, because once I get off this show today, I will send you the images that are very clear from NASA showing what an image looks like when it gets a cosmic flare this, cosmic flare that, and it will clearly show you cannot see a freaking thing on the image. And then here's my images. They're clearer than a bell. I wish more people would do that. These other groups would have to shut their mouths and stop putting out bad information.
Well, Bob, I got to tell you, my friend, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I certainly look forward to speaking with you again soon on another update. And folks, make sure to check out starshipsaroundthesun.com. Also, our website, leakproject.com. We've got, as you can see here, a bounty of information. We've got guests from all around the world on different genres and topics, specialists on a wide variety, and every single podcast that we've done so far is free. You'll have access to the shows. Make sure to support our website by checking it out, and appreciate you guys that have contributed with the pictures and the links. Thank you for sending these out to us. We try and get them on the air as quick as we get them. Keep up the good work, you guys. Without you, Leak Project would not exist. So stay safe. Be the change you want to see. This is Rex Bear. Good night.